Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Jed Kennedy Coaches Show. I am Philip Jordan, the in-studio host and producer of Dothan Wolves football on 96.9, The Legend. Each week, Jerry Coleman and Ken Lambert are joined by Dothan Wolves head coach Jed Kennedy to recap the previous game and preview the upcoming opponent. Tonight, head coach Jed Kennedy looks back at the Dothan Wolves game with Central Phenix City from last week and previews tomorrow night's big game with the Enterprise Wildcats. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, head coach Jed Kennedy will be joined by Jerry Coleman and Ken Lambert right here on 96.9, The Legend.
Coach, last Friday night, you headed to Central Phenix City, played the Coach Patrick Nix 6-0 Central Red Devils. Was kind of like the second of a 4-week road binder. And I think Central won the toss. They won the football. Before there was 11 minutes left in the first quarter, Gavion takes an interception, takes it down about the 5 or 6, and then Peterson takes it in. And 11 minutes left in the first quarter, you up 7-0. Just take it from there after we got the lead.
Yeah, obviously went up early and probably couldn't have drawn it up any better. Obviously it was a tough night for us all around. There were some bright spots. It was 7-7 at the end of the first quarter and really 14-7 most of the second quarter. They scored, at the end of the second quarter to make it 21-7 at half. Really thought our defense did a good job in the first half of getting off the field and not giving up the big play. They had the one long pass, but just offensively, we were not very good. Struggled to move the ball, struggled to run the ball, struggled to protect it. So we had to throw a lot of, quick passes. It's just, and a lot of it, to be honest with you, we're a really good football team. They're just better than us right now. They're very talented. I've been down in Alabama now for 5 years, and that Central Phenix City is probably as the most talented football team that I know I've coached against. I mean, they're just, when you look at high school teams, everybody has good players. We have good players, but typically you'll look out there and see some areas of weakness or, some player areas where you're average. They don't have them. We were talking after the game, offensively or defensively, they did not have a weakness. They have, Power 5 players all over the field. I was talking to the Clemson coach before the game, and his comment to me was, he says, "Coach, is this the most talented team you've ever seen?" I said, "Well, on film, yes." Asked me tonight. He said, "Coach, I don't know if," he said, "what makes this team so unique is," he said, "number one, they're extremely talented with the number of Division I offers they have, but they also have 4 or 5 elite 4 or 5-star type players, players that can go anywhere in the country." And, when you play a team like that, if you make a mistake, it gets exploited. And, we knew going in that, we had to get stops, and we got enough stops in the first half. But we also knew that we had to score some points and we had to get first downs, and we didn't. And, our defense was just out on the field the entire first half, and it was kind of wore us down the second half, but we put that one behind us. Like I told our kids after the game, they've done that to everybody they've played, not just us. And we're going to put it behind us. We're still a good football team and got, two huge region games coming up, and, none more big than the one we have tomorrow night over at Enterprise.
Yeah. Coach, you mentioned last week talking about this Central team. I think your words were they have speed all over the field, and that was evident. We probably mentioned that. I felt like I said it 100 times Friday night, but I know as you were trying to get to the edge, and we could really see the difference there. There were a few times that you would see either Peterson or AJ, like we had seen all year long, get to the edge, break a tackle, only to have 2 or 3 guys from the backside there from the speed to be there for just a 2-yard gain, where we would normally see that was as an 8 to 10-yard gain. And that was something that was just amazing to us. Offense, defense, all over the field. The other thing I noticed was the Coleman kid, the wide receiver. I told Jerry they had a breakaway run there, the 95-yard run for that number 2 back. And I think TK Knight was chasing him kind of on his heels. The Coleman kid ran from the other side of the field so fast just to get in between them. So speed was a big difference for those guys as well, I know.
Yeah, and I think, we talked about, they're always going to be fast. Their linebackers were so fast. And but I think the other thing is they were so physical on defense. Man, they were physical. We kind of knew what we were going to get, we thought, out of the D-line, and they're certainly a special group. But I think the physicality of the linebackers and the speed, you talk about, Cam, number 8 at receiver. He's obviously one of the best players in the country, and we did some things to take him away. He really didn't hurt us catching the football. We double covered him. The problem is that means you leave the kid on the other side, single covered, so you got to play off a little bit so you don't give up the deep ball. That kid's a junior. He's been offered by everybody in the country. Well, if you come up, you press him. It's hard to beat him on, cover him on deep balls. And if you get off, they throw short balls, and you got to tackle him in the open field. And, again, just tip my hat off to Coach Nix. He's, after the game was over, shook our hands and said, Coach, you got a really good football team. He said, we've got a lot of talent. He said, Coach, I know what we have here. And, that's certainly a team that's going to be in it at the end. I think, having a great chance to play for a state title. And if they're not, it means that somebody upset them along the way. So, like I said, that one's behind us. Certainly we went up there to win a football game. We coach every game that way. We play every game that way. We had a good week of practice. We had a good plan. We just, like I said, sometimes, I don't know if we played our best football, and when you do that against a really good team, it's just a recipe for bad news. And that's what happened. But again, we've told our kids after the game, we talked about in the huddle, it's over. Can't go back and change it. We're sitting in the same situation we're last year. Everything that we want is still in front of us. We still control that. And we don't need help from anybody if we take care of what we have to take care of. And certainly have our work cut out for us again tomorrow night against Enterprise, team that's only got one loss on the year. But we've had a great week of practice. And I certainly know our kids are ready for
it. And Coach, I know we'll talk about Enterprise in the second half, but what things did kind of just step out at you Friday night that y'all worked on or talked about during practice this week, whether it be in the trenches or anything you saw maybe was kind of an off kilter that maybe not ready for, but that definitely be ready for tomorrow night?
Well, I don't think they did anything that we didn't expect, right? I think the hardest thing when you play a team like that is, how do you simulate that type of speed in practice? I mean, that I think is really the thing that people don't, where high school football is so different than, let's say, if you talk about Alabama, for example, when they go to run scouts, when they're getting ready for Texas A&M, they have, 4- and 5-star players that are running the scout team. Well, we do down here, we have sophomores running the scout team. Well, if the sophomore ran a 4.40, he'd be starting for us on offense or defense. They're just kids that just right now aren't starting in our program. So I think it's, it's how quick can you adjust to those things, that you see. And I think that we probably offensively did not do a good job adjusting to their speed of their linebackers kind of as the night went on. The thing I thought we did a really good job, we had a different game plan than we have most weeks in the sense of, kind of we're going to give up the stuff underneath and kind of let them bleed us a little bit, try to prevent the big play. And I knew they busted a couple runs on the end, but like I said before, I mean, we got stops in the first half. And, that's a team, what's crazy is we went up 7-0 on them. That is the first time they've been down all season. I know that didn't last, very long, but like I said, you're over halfway through the season. They hadn't even been down. I think it shows you the type of football team they are. And, we use everything as a learning experience. That's what we're trying to get to. And, like I said, you look at your weaknesses and your mistakes and things that we can coach better, coach differently, and just make adjustments for next time we play them.
Coach, tell us a little bit about, managing the mood this week. And I know that this has been a confident football team, and deservingly so. And so you kind of go up there and take a shot from those guys. But as you mentioned, you still control your own destiny. And I know that that's something that you've had experience in over the years of managing that and letting these guys know, hey, everything you still want still in front of you.
Well, the thing I talked to the coaches about after the game, along with the kids first and the coach, I said, this is over. We can – there's nothing to sit back and say coulda, shoulda. There was no coulda, shoulda, wouldas. It wasn't if we got one more stop, we could have won, or if we converted this third down, we would have won. I mean, we went up there and we got beat. Like I told our coaches, we're going to be positive this week. And, regardless of what the score said, we're a really, really good football team. It's the same team that scored 59 points against Prattville. It's the same team that outscored Baker 35-7 in the second half. And I think our kids understand that. And we've had a good week of practice. And if you can't get excited and motivated for the next game with what's on the line and who we play against, then this probably probably isn't the sport for you.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we're going to take a break. Like you said, get rid of last week. And when we come back, we'll talk about tomorrow night's game when we again travel to Enterprise for the third week of a 4-week travel to take on the Wildcats. You're listening to the Jed Kennedy Coaches Show here on 96.9 The Legend. Coach, tomorrow night team travels just 30 miles west of here to take on the Wildcats of Enterprise, Coach Blackman team that you're familiar with the players, and now after being 1 year head coach with the Wolves, kind of being familiar with the type offense and defense that Coach Blackman runs. And one thing, just kind of looking at this year's Wildcat team, I believe they had 7 or 9 returning defensive players from last year. Kind of your thoughts on kind of going into tomorrow night's game.
Well, I think first of all, you mentioned it. They are built on the defensive side of the football. They're very talented. They, like I said, returned 7 or 8 starters. I mean, heck, they beat an Auburn team and they only had, I think, 7 points offensively. Everything else was defensively and 4 first downs. I mean, they have a very, very, very good defense. They have a star-studded defense. They've got a defensive lineman, Fred Veely, Division I football player, John Tavius Hooten, the linebacker, Division I football player, Eric Winters, the safety. He's off from everybody in the country. So very, very talented on that side of the football, and they play really good defense and try to find just enough offense to be able to win games. So certainly present some challenges for us, that side of the ball. But, with that being said, I think, we've had a great week. Offensively, they're a little different than last year. I mean, they had some really big firepower on offense. Michael Johnson, the running back, now plays up at Troy. Trey Kimberlin at wide receiver plays down at West Florida. Aiden White, their quarterback. Those kids are gone. They were pretty explosive players. So a little bit younger on offense on the perimeter. They got a junior quarterback, but they've got 2 senior running backs. Keon Dunlop, Division I kid committed to Indiana as a safety. He's been playing running back for them this year. Amari Griffin was a kid actually 2 years ago that when we were over there rushed for 1,000 yards. In our system. And, so they've got really, really good running backs. And, they do a lot of different things. They run option. They're built on running the football. They don't throw the ball a whole lot. When they do, it's off the play action and stuff. So you have to be very disciplined on defense. Got to have your eyes in the right spot and do your job. If you don't, they'll certainly exploit it.
Coach, that was the thing, obviously, that we mentioned in giving out the scores Friday night that looked like Enterprise had found their offense. I think Coach Blackman had said earlier in the year, hey, our defense is going to support us while our offense kind of grows up and gets healthy. I think their quarterback was injured early in the year. He's back full speed, though. We can expect to see him.
Yeah, he played. It was a unique game when they played Prattville. Just, Prattville got the ball, had the ball down like the 15 or 20-yard line. Enterprise took it down to the 5 and scored. And then there's another, it just got away from Prattville real fast. But their quarterback has missed a couple games. When he did, Eric Winters goes in at quarterback. But their other quarterback, number 8, Axton Warren, he came back. He actually played against Prattville. But, it's just, football is all about matchups, if you think about it. Their schedule, I think, has been a little bit different than ours. It's really hard. I don't want to say you haven't got a lot of really good film, but, they had a great game against Auburn, but I mean, that was 6 weeks ago. So they're doing some different things right now. They got beat pretty handedly by Central. I think it was 48-7 or something like that. So, how much do you really get off of that? They beat, they won by 40 over Eufaula. They won by 40 some over Rehoboth. They won by 40 some over Smith Station. So, really, up to Friday, I mean, they won by, 35 points against Prattville. So it's like you have them playing the 2 top teams in our region, then you have them playing, teams that are struggling, and smaller classifications. So that's been a little bit interesting on our end. You'd like to see them have a game against Opelika or, those types of people. Yeah. But, they're a good football team, and that staff does a great job over there. Those kids play hard, certainly the same way they did when we were there. But, like I said, we're ready to get that taste out of our mouths from last week. But we've had a great week of practice. It's been a unique week. We're actually on fall break, so we haven't had school all week. So been able to, keep the kids for a little bit longer and almost slow some things down, because we don't have to worry about during school getting them back to class, or keeping them after school. And it's been a real good week. We fed them breakfast, had them up here for lengthy period of time, and feed them before they go home, and done all that stuff in the morning, so that way we got a lot of kids that need to work in the afternoon. So like I said, we seem to be fresher. We're healthy. We don't have really anybody out. And like I said, it's going to be a great football game Friday, and one of those ones where every possession and every turnover and every missed tackle and all those things will somehow come back and play in the final score at the end.
Coach, you're right. You said last year, same schedule, same record as last year. Kind of the still opportunities out there definitely for playoffs, but still playing a rival that's 30 miles away. And last year was kind of a, flying high. Last year at this time, Central came in. If you had about 3 more minutes, you'd have won. And then going into the Enterprise game at home, it just kind of not got away, but just kind of a little different. How are you going to turn that around? I know this week, totally different team, but kind of matchups.
I've said it all along that last year was us against Enterprise was the worst game that we had all year. We didn't play good. We didn't coach good. We just was not a good game. And, I wear all those things as a head coach. That falls on me. I think the thing that I learned about our kids, and I think that anytime you have a chance to go to a big game, that was really the first big game those kids played in, and, then after that, you go to Opelika, they've been in a big game. That was the second one. And then we went and played Foley. And this year we had the Auburn game. And so every time things like that happen, you gain experience. And, we knew that there was going to be ups and downs, and heck, they're still happening this year. It's all part of building a program, but I just, we're a different football team right now. They're a different football team right now. It's over there. It's a tough place to play at. They certainly draw great crowds and those things, but we're excited. And it comes down to it. If we haven't, this may sound crazy to you. We have not talked once all week about how important this game is and what's on the line. If we have to sell that to our kids, they don't know. We've said it from day one. We have to worry about ourselves, and we have to worry about doing the things that we know how to do to win football games, and in the way that we know how to play to win football games. And it doesn't matter if we're playing Enterprise or Opelika or Smith Station. Our thought process doesn't change. We don't prepare any harder because it's Enterprise. We just come to attack each day. We worry about ourselves. We just attack that day, and when it's over, we just get ready for the next one. And that's kind of how, we really try to talk to our kids about how to live your life, and more importantly, how to function inside of our football program.
Coach, kind of a process question here. I've been thinking about when it comes to adding wrinkles into your offense. And last year, you really didn't have that luxury in learning a new offense, but I didn't know, is that something as far as expanding the playbook that you schedule, or is it really just based on upcoming opponents that you might do?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with kind of what I think, number one, what you've done. What's crazy is we have plays we've worked on all year that, because of the defensive look, we just haven't run yet. And there's things that, you kind of go in as the year turns on or develops, you kind of start to develop your offensive identity. And then obviously, there's things that you start doing, plays running more than others, then you're always trying to find wrinkles and things off of those plays. So it is kind of an ever evolving thing. I don't go in and say we need to throw it this many times, or we're going to run it this many times. I want to move the ball and I want to score points. And there's a lot of factors that go into that with how you play, and the types of plays you call. And sometimes you look pretty smart doing it, sometimes you look like you don't. But like I said, we just worry about ourselves and worry about continuing to get better. And we've had a really, really good week of practice. And like I said, we've got some kids healed up that have been kind of banged up for us. And that's a key part this late in the year is staying healthy.
Yeah.
Coach, I know last week we talked about you added Anthony Castillo kind of in that blocking back position, I believe, a little bit this past week. Would that be kind of the same thing we see tomorrow night? Will he be back in?
Yeah, Tanner Johnson played more on against Central than he did the week before. Tanner's a sophomore, going to be a great player here. It's just, Anthony's a 250-pound lineman, and he actually played tight end for us. He's a good athlete. it's just there's times that we want to have a little bit of, let in the shorts, so to say, when you go to run some of those plays that we like to run. So I think as the season goes on, hopefully Jamal will all be back, kid who started for us at the end of last year and, started the first 5 games for us this year. But, he's, like I said, he's close to coming back and may even see him on Friday. But, it's just one of those things. It's just, different kids bring a different skill set, and it kind of depends on what skills you need that week to hopefully be successful offensively.
Well, Coach, I know as we wrap up, I guess Jerry and I thinking about it. So the road trips, we've been talking about 4 road trips in a row, and obviously you've got an off week in there. But Enterprise is so close; that's pretty much like a home schedule, I would think. That you can be over there pretty quick. So that kind of, at least you're back home much quicker than we have these last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, and it really is a bizarre schedule. What's crazy is when the schedule originally came out, it had us going 5-5, 5 home games, 5 road games. And I called the guy who oversees it. I'm like, there is nobody in America who has a schedule like this. It's got to be broken up. And they were fortunate to get one of the Montgomery schools to change. But, what's crazy is we got home at 12 o'clock from Central Phenix City. And it felt like it was early considering, we got back at, 2:30 in the morning the week before from Baker. So it's just, as you know, it's just one of those things we deal with on this part. We know we're going to have to travel, but, this one, it's really almost like a home game, instead of us, driving, 15 minutes across town and going to Rip Hughes. We'll take 40 minutes for us to get to Enterprise Stadium. We'll dress in our own locker room. We'll kind of use that time as kind of our downtime to get yourself mentally ready. And, it's like I said, I like a little 40-minute trip. It's quiet. Kids will have music on and then just thinking about what we got to do that night.
Good deal.
Coach, you mentioned that, everybody got not really banged up or everybody should be back, but, we took our breath when Lewis Snell went down Friday night. But, of course, he got up on his own, not the same injury from early in the year, just something just kind of tweaked with him when he came off the sidelines.
Yeah, I think it's you play a physical football team. We think we're a physical football team. You're going to get, when you got humans that big, battling, you're going to get rolled up on and laid on and in this. And, Lewis is a tough kid, but yeah, like I said, I think that, it's not that you're banged up. It's just, I think really most teams in the state, I always tell the kids, if you're not sore going into the 8th game of the year, you're probably not playing football the right way. So.
Well, Coach, that'll wrap us up for tonight's Jed Kennedy Coaches Show. Good luck tomorrow night as you travel to Enterprise. If you can't make it, listen to us here on 96.9 The Legend. Kickoff at 6:45. Pregame 6:45. Kickoff at 7. You've been listening to the Jed Kennedy Coaches Show here on 96.9 The Legend.